part of the reason why the panel that we've put together has been assembled is because we have some experience here in covering federal government issues from afar. It's not something you need to be in Washington, D.C. to do necessarily. That's no longer the case. And we're working on maximizing the kind of technology that's available to us now to make it possible to be a Congress watcher, to be a federal government watcher from wherever you are.
Let me get into the nitty-gritty of covering a hearing. It's there are a few different ways to do it. I like live tweeting because I can tweet from my smartphone here, and people see it in real time. And it fits well with the short quote kind of things, like live blogging in 140 character form, and I find that easy. But the other way, of course, is if you can get on the internet, you can live blog or do more you take notes and write up an article afterwards, which is something I've worked on. We have some Main Street Insider interns who are doing that as we speak, and you can find a few of those on our website, mainstreetinsider.org, as examples. So, it takes a little bit of knowledge of the issue to do that, but those can really be helpful. I mean, that's what newspapers do. And it doesn't take that much to do it better than what they do. Usually they assemble quotes from both sides. We like to add some perspective, saying, well, what this guy said is it's wrong, and here's why. And this is what should happen, because this is what the facts dictate. And that's the case that needs to be made.
One of the tools that Sunlight and those working in that space was able to develop was to use Twitter to send out a feed of information of what's happening more or less in real time on the House floor. The House members are able to check on a website and get a feed written in the Democratic cloakroom, essentially, that tells them what bills are up and how things are progressing in the House. But it's insider information styled for insiders. And so what we've ended up getting out of the kind of transparency work that Sunlight is able to do is that we'll be able to provide any citizen in near real time exactly the same kind, in fact, exactly the same information that members and their staff get. The problem is that almost no one but members and staff understand what that data means.
Well, what do we do now? How do we make him and his administration and Congress do the things that we gave them a mandate to do? And, really cash in on our investment. And we didn't see much coming of that once OFA decided to become merged into the DNC. So we realized we had to have an independent, progressive citizens organization holding the administration and Congress accountable every day by getting into the halls of Congress and really taking action. So that was sort of partially involving meeting with legislative staff to talk about policy issues and stress the progressive viewpoint. But something we realized very quickly was that presence also involves an accountability level that can only come from watching hearings and commenting on them and making sure other people are commenting on them, so they really know what's going on a day-to-day basis. That might be even more important than talking to staffers. So we got into that a lot more, and I noticed there aren't many of us there, just regular folks who want to know what's going on. There are a lot of people who are being paid to be there, and there's some interns for nonprofit groups who are good, and they report back, and that's an important part of what they do. But the Netroots doesn't really have anything like that, and it's such an important part of the lobby, both being noticed by the staffers who were there developing those relationships, and at the same time getting the information to pass on to people so they can be more informed informed when they do set up their campaigns and actions to call your congressman to tell them X. Well, if we know they said Y at a hearing, you know, we'll have something to hold their feet to the fire on. One other issue with access, if you're not on the Hill, I would definitely, if you're in the DC area, I definitely recommend going to the Hill, because that is, I mean, all those ancillary benefits that I mentioned of being there and showing your face. But you can also watch online, which is something that's really started to take off in terms of its possibilities, and how easy it is to do so. That's one of our central missions at Main Street Insider. It's been pretty much every committee is live streamed right now, and a lot of them are archived, so you can go on the web, but a lot of them, they either are inaccessible to Macs, or they all use different software, so you might need to install some plugin. They're all in different places, you know. They're just kind of ugly. And we think there's a lot of room to build on that and develop some sort of tool to put them in the same place and all be easy to see and have some captioning and even a chat feature where we can have conversations about what's happening and really do that analysis in real time and have everyone who wants to participate. And again, that's something we invite you all to get involved with. We should have this up and running in a basic form within a month or so, I would say. And we're also going to have an integrated committee schedule, which is something that is not available anywhere for free, believe it or not. Now you say, hey, it's on Daily Post. Well, we're doing that. And we think it still can be done better by being, you know, more interactive and easy to search and things like that.
This is it. You can do this. You should do this. It's good for your coverage to change outcomes. You need not necessarily take on the traditional media approach to covering what happens and leading to that and not getting involved in the story. This is something you can choose that path, or you can choose an activist path. But either way, I think all the tips that you got here today will help you become more effective whichever path you choose.